All right, let's dive right in. We're going to explore a really profound idea today, inspired by the incredible Alan Watts. And it's this: when you have one of those genuine, earth-shattering spiritual awakenings, there are some things you might actually be better off keeping to yourself. Sounds weird, right? Let's unpack why.
And this right here, this is the core idea for our entire conversation. Trying to explain these huge revelations is like trying to funnel the entire ocean into a tiny, fragile teacup. It's such a powerful image, isn't it? The experience is just massive, and our words, they're like these little, brittle containers that just shatter under the weight of it all.
So that brings us to the big question, really. If this experience is so beautiful, so liberating, so life-changing, why on earth would you keep quiet about it? Why is silence sometimes the smarter, wiser move?
So our first point gets right into what we're calling the paradox of sharing. And it's this huge, almost desperate urge to tell everyone about your incredible insight, butting up against the frustrating reality that your words they can't do it justice.
Okay, so picture this. You're in that moment. The curtain of everyday reality just pulls back and you see everything with this stunning, breathtaking clarity. You get this incredible rush, and all you want to do is grab the nearest person and shout, "Look, I've seen behind the veil. It's all happening right now." And then what happens? You get a polite nod, maybe a confused smile, "Oh, that's really nice for you." You see the gap, right? You're trying to hand them the entire ocean, and they're just hearing about a tiny drop of water. And honestly, they won't even be a little freaked out. And here's why that gap is so huge. Let's use this swimming analogy. Think about it. You can read 1,000 books on the physics of buoyancy, the chemistry of water, the theory of the perfect stroke, but none of it comes close to the actual feeling of jumping into the water, that cool shock, the feeling of being held up, that surrender. An awakening is an experience. It's something you feel in your bones, not an idea you can just explain in a lecture.
Okay, so let's build on that with our second point. Your path, your key. This really gets into how deeply personal this whole journey is. The thing is, whatever practice or insight got you there, whether it was meditation or a walk in the woods or a specific book, it worked because it was the perfect key for your specific lock. It was, as it says here, forged in that exact forge of circumstance. It was tailor-made for you.
Yeah, check this out. It's so simple when you see it like this. You have a unique soul, right? And that soul has its own one-of-a-kind lock. The path you walked, that was the key. Just the right one. So trying to hand your key to someone else, it's like trying to give them your glasses. It's just not going to work. Their inner maze is completely different. They have to find their own way. All right, this next one, this can be a really tough one. Our third point is about what we're calling unsolicited mirrors. This is all about that temptation to start pointing out what you can suddenly see happening inside other people.
So once you have this kind of awakening, your perception gets, super sharp. You can suddenly see the patterns, the fears, the ego defenses that other people are running on. And your first instinct is to help, right? To point it out. But here's the thing. Readiness is the sovereign gatekeeper. You can only hear a truth when you're ready for it. If you try to force it on someone before they're ready, you know what happens? They just build their walls even higher.
This chrysalis metaphor is just perfect. Think about it. A butterfly has to struggle to get out of the cocoon. That struggle is what pushes fluid into its wings and makes them strong enough to fly. If you come along with the best intentions and cut it open to help, you doom it. That struggle is essential. And when we try to fix someone else's process, we might be robbing them of the very struggle they need to become strong.
Okay, now we're heading into some really deep territory with our fourth point. Let's talk about what the source material calls the whisper of the abyss. This is about that massive revelation, the one about the fluid, formless, ungrounded nature of reality itself. And this is where things get really tricky, because the exact same truth can be seen in two completely opposite ways. For someone who's had that awakening, realizing that everything, your identity, the world, is this constant, beautiful dance, well, it's total freedom. It's like looking up at a boundless sky. But for someone who isn't there yet, that exact same idea sounds like absolute terror. It's nihilism, a terrifying void where nothing matters. This really nails the miscommunication. You're trying to tell them, hey, you're not just this fragile little drop of water. You're a wave of the entire ocean. You're trying to show them how vast they are. But what do they hear? They hear you saying their little drop doesn't exist. You're erasing the very self they're clinging to for dear life.
All right, let's move on to our fifth and final thing to maybe keep quiet about. Freedom beyond norms. This is the big one. The realization that all those societal rules about right and wrong are, well, they're constructs.
Now, you can probably guess how this goes down if you just start proclaiming, "Hey everyone, I'm beyond good and evil." Yeah, alarm bells are going to start ringing, loudly. People are going to hear that and think you've given yourself a license to do whatever you want, that you're a danger to society.
But here's the beautiful paradox. True spiritual freedom doesn't lead to chaos. It actually leads to this deep, natural sense of kindness. Why? Because you finally, truly get that the idea of a separate me and you is an illusion. Harming someone else suddenly feels like punching yourself in the face. It's just absurd. So compassion isn't about following rules anymore. It's just the natural way to be.
So, wow, if we're not supposed to talk about these 5 huge truths, then what are we supposed to do? How do we possibly communicate any of this? The answer is a total game changer. It's about shifting from speaking to just being.
After looking at everything you shouldn't say, the source points us to the most powerful way to teach, and it's something completely different.
It's utter wordlessness, a complete 180 from how we usually think about sharing something important.
And this shows you exactly what that looks like. It's not about giving lectures. It's about how you carry yourself. It's the quiet calm you have when things are peaceful, the grace you show when a storm hits. It's that spark of joy you can find even in the middle of chaos. It's being the quiet center in a noisy room. It's this deep-rooted presence that people can actually feel.
This quote just ties it all together perfectly, doesn't it? You awaken not as a herald, but as a vessel. Your job isn't to be a town crier, shouting the news from the rooftops. Your job is to be a container, a living example through which this understanding flows.
And that leaves us with this final, powerful question to really think about. Instead of struggling to find the perfect words, how can you share your truth just by being you? How can you live it? Because that is the real art of this kind of communication.